So for my final presentation, I did it on the OT resource binder that I developed for future OT students who will be doing their fieldwork at Killingly Public Schools. I divided the binder up into several sections, and I'm just going to touch upon a few of the resources in each of those sections. For the introduction, this is where I just give some basic background information on the town of Killingly. I also include the internship guidelines and some key terms and definitions that students should be familiar with. There's also a few resources from AOTA about what OT's role is in the school setting. The second section are forms that are specific to Killingly, such as an attendance sheet, a parent response to a PPT notice, and an authorization form to conduct an evaluation. I also included a blank OT evaluation so students can become familiar with the layout and how it's organized. The next section is specific to COVID-19 in the school setting. So within this section, I included a bunch of resources from AOTA on how to help transition students back to the school after being remote. There's also resources on how to implement OT virtually, as well as additional resources on masks and covering and facial coverings and classroom setup. The next section is specific to diagnoses, where I focus more on autism, SI, and social emotional. The next section is standardized and non-standardized assessment forms. The next is webinars, where I included some of the PowerPoints from the therapro.com, which were very informative and helped a lot, especially during my learning process at Killingly. The next section is clinical observation forms and additional forms and resources. So these are some blank forms such as OT classroom observation. I also included an observation form that I had developed for virtual to collect data. There's also a blank therapy lesson plan, as well as other resources such as a 25-tip sheet for school-based therapists and a primary handwriting rubric. The last section is telehealth resources, where I included 2 examples of a telehealth packet that was sent home for students to complete. I also included the list of resources that myself and the OTA student had utilized during our virtual sessions. And the last is a packet about how to implement OT evaluations through telehealth.